What up? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are we? How are we feeling from yesterday's game? Let me know in the chat. Get in the chat. Make sure you pound that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the live. Feel free to join feel free to join the Discord. All my links are down below. Also, this is sponsored by betusa.com. The link is down in the description. All right. All right. So let's get right into it, man. I mean, this was a gut-wrenching loss, okay, against the Seattle Seahawks, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? Let's get right into some news here real quick. It feels like, though, the Panthers are falling like a house of cards, really, right? There's definitely a bitter taste in my mouth of disappointment so far this season, right? The laundry list of sideline players are right now, with Bryce being out, J.C. Horn, Shaq Thompson, Brady Christensen, Austin Corbett. Obviously, their absences, I think, are starting to really daunt us. Number one, so the casualties just haven't stopped, right? Frankie Luvu, CJ Henderson, Xavier Woods, Jonathan Mingo are all mercenaries on the field that also have gone down. Mingo, in particular, found himself in a concussion protocol after a big hit that he took in that game, right? We just can't afford any more of these injuries that are happening, right? And I just watched Frank Wright's press conference. I mean, you could just tell the man is disappointed too. Maybe not just at himself. I don't know if he's disappointed at himself, but definitely he is disappointing at where things are at right now, right? You're 0-3. It's just a dark shadow that's over our team in this season so far, right? And you think that, this is a must-win game. We are going into week 3. You're 0-2. It's a must-win game. It's a must-win game for Seattle too, right? Then you got to go against the Minnesota Vikings next week, right? This week, right? So we have to basically lick our wounds, and move on. I will say, shout out to Adam Thielen for having a great game. His brilliance definitely illuminated the gloomy Seattle sky that was going on. The Seattle's defense really couldn't stop. I mean, they really didn't stop him. I mean, if you think about it, for 11 receptions for 145 receiving yards and a touchdown, I mean, he was just getting open, right? He was just getting open. And so then the rest of the wide receiver core definitely did a lot better. And I don't know if that's upon Andy Dalton stepping in and he's finding the guys, or Seattle secondary is that bad, right? And then, yeah, we lost the game, but there is a lot of shining moments to be happy about in this game. We actually saw a decent offense for once. We actually scored over 17 points, right? That number 17 is a daunting number to this franchise, if you think about it. But we finally scored over 17 points. So with Thielen's performance, after this performance and leading up to going against Minnesota, this is kind of an intriguing. I would say I wouldn't say dramatic, but or drama, but it's definitely almost like a revenge game for Thielen, right? Because he spent 9 seasons there in Minnesota, and he knows that this team is 0-3 and needs a win. So I think that it's pretty interesting that this could be a business this is something that, not business, but this is I think Thielen's out for blood in this next coming game, honestly. Right. Then you got Andy Dalton, who stepped up, with Bryce being out, or whatever you want to call it, sitting, whichever one you want to say, if he's actually injured or they sat him for learning purposes, right? Whatever the circumstances you want to call it, okay? But Dalton delivered a commendable performance, okay? He orchestrated this offense with precision, I thought. He took calculated shots down the field. He set a career high with 58 pass attempts, which is insane, 58 pass attempts. But of course, the lack of balance in the offense really attributed to the loss to because became a one-dimensional due to penalties. And of course, again, the ineffective, I should say, run game, right? Dalton's resilience under pressure, I think, earned him some respect. Um, Obviously, Dalton's future remains uncertain because if Bryce returns to action, Dalton might once again find himself on the sidelines. Yet his week 3 performance apparently has ignited some trade rumors with teams like New York, the New York Jets eyeing him as a potential solution to their quarterback woes right now, due to the fact of obviously Aaron Rodgers being out for the year. And obviously they don't trust Zach Wilson to get the job done. And I don't know if anybody's been watching the Jets, but I've watched the past 2 Jets games, and it's not good. So, so we'll see, right? But the thing is with Frank Reich is that the fact of the matter is that now he's coming out saying that we need more discipline, right? Like Frank Reich's kind of coming out saying that it was one of those points that came about in this Seattle game, right? It's a hostile environment. It's a team that's we could tell that this team can't handle pressure. All right. A lot of false starts, a lot of self-inflicted wounds that this team has displayed, especially Akeem Ekwonu, who I'm going to get on here shortly. But the display of what we saw on Sunday's game was far from what I expected from a coaching staff standpoint, because of the experience and the innovation that I felt that this coaching staff could bring. And of course, Frank Reich comes out and says he's expressed his unwavering belief in the team and the coaching staff, but did not mince words about the lack of discipline. So he took the responsibility for the offensive penalties, emphasized the urgency of, resolving that situation, which it has to be resolved. Icky should not be coming off the line that many times, getting false start. I think Icky had 3 or 4, maybe 5 false starts yesterday. I know it's at least 3. I mean, these are obviously early season issues, but we've been dealing with a lot of issues before the even season start. And it seems like these issues are lingering on as we get into the season, right? And the pressure on right now in this coaching staff is pretty intense right now, because expectations are high. Like we do need, I think that we need to lower our expectations, and I've lowered mine. I came in here thinking, okay, Bryce Young's going to be, I thought we were going to get the Alabama Bryce Young. Obviously, I think there's some learning curve there, which there is with every rookie quarterback. And honestly, guys, I wasn't high on Bryce. I wasn't high on drafting Bryce. I was high on drafting. I wanted AR-15 or Stroud. But Bryce was like my 3rd guy on the list. I'm not saying Bryce is a bust. I'm not saying that he's the issue. He's the problem. But it definitely raises some concerns to me, seeing Andy Dalton do what he did, and Bryce, and seeing and comparing it to what Bryce has done. Now I get it. Andy Dalton's played for a lot longer. He's been playing in the NFL for a lot more, more time. He knows how this goes. Um, but there is some concerns with me right now with Bryce. You know what I mean? I mean, some of you might not. Some of you may agree. Some of you disagree, right? But for me, if you're a first round pick, I need you to be playing like a first round pick, not a Jamarcus Russell. Not, you know what I mean? Like, so part of me is also surprised that Dalton was able to distribute the ball as well as he did with the same wide receiver core that Bryce has played with as well and has not done the same thing. Now, I totally am patient and I'm totally understanding of that the rookie quarterbacks have their ups and downs, right? But I am going to be patient with Bryce. I'm not going to say that he's a bust. I'm not saying any of that. But it does make me think that Dalton was able to distribute the ball to these wide receivers that we've been saying that don't get separation, but yet then Dalton's able to find these guys and get open. Also, that could be the fact of the matter that the play calling was a lot better in this game from an offensive standpoint. I will say that we saw a lot more, like I was saying, switch motions, a lot of shift motions as well, which 90% of the league's doing, and a lot of the good teams on offense are doing a lot of shift motion plays. There's a couple more play action bootlegs that I like, and I saw a couple of RPOs that definitely worked a little bit with Chenault. There was only a few, honestly, but there were most of the passes that we saw, besides a couple over the tops that Dalton did make or threw. But for the most part, it was quick game that I've been mentioning, that just those quick slants, quick hitches, quick screens, quick flat routes, and we were moving the ball down the field. That's why I've been wanting to see. It's just these, because it's easier for your offensive line to block those kinds of plays, and it's a downhill play calling that gets your team moving to the end zone, towards the end zone. So I hope that we see more of that, and I'm hoping that kind of play calling kind of comes into play if Bryce does come back in, because I think that's going to be more beneficial to him. But I'm not. I'm still going to remain patient with Bryce. I'm still going to remain confident, and I'm still going to try to be patient as much as I can be. But it just made me think a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Because, I mean, guys, the expectations here are high, though, okay? And it's part also with the fact of the matter that Scott Fitterer has made some lofty promises of a rapid quarterback-driven ascent. And then the Panthers really find themselves at a crossroads with grappling injuries, discipline issues. All right. This is a daunting task of turning this team's fortunes around in this league. And the road ahead is going to be treacherous. And the only time will tell the Panther if we can emerge from these shadows of disappointment and shine once again. I will say, though, there was a lot of shining moments in this game. I will say I was very happy with the performance from Andy Dalton, moving the ball down the field. I felt that our defense is, I mean, I have nothing really bad to say about our defense besides our secondary. Dante Jackson and CJ Henderson are just, it's just not going to cut it, man. It might be time to cut our losses with both of them and move on from both. It's just our secondary is absolutely weak. It is absolutely weak. Besides Von Bell, Jeremy Chin, I thought for the most part they played a solid game. But this injury bug has got to stop, because, and I don't know if it's the field issue, because I know a lot of things are going on about this whole, like, needs to go back to grass. I don't fucking know, but something's got to change. All right, let me get in the chat here real quick. See some of y'all in here. Thumbs up. Why was the downtown establishment so empty during games? I don't know. Downtown where, Mad Chat? Are you talking about Seattle or are you talking about in Charlotte? Got to give it time, man. Yeah, I know, Jadarius. I'm giving it some time. You have to consider Talden played against a weaker secondary. This is what I knew our fans would think. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking that in consideration too. But it's also the fact of the matter that would we have seen the same thing with Bryce in there? That's the question. We'll never know. But it does make you think a little bit, Josh. That's all I'm saying. It's going to take 4 years for this team to be a playoff contender. Honestly, Panther Raider X, you're probably right. At this rate, at what we're seeing, yeah, it definitely will. It just all depends on if we can really rebuild this team around Bryce, really rebuild this secondary up, this offensive line, and get a true number one wide receiver and at least somebody who can be a decent wide receiver too, right? And get the running game going. We got to get better at running the ball. I don't know if that's a Miles Sanders issue or is it more of a offensive line issue, but it's something that definitely to look into. Marcos Cash is coming in and saying, nah, Bryce is just too scared to throw down the field, so DBs don't respect him. And he started slinging that ball and opened up the pass game. I mean, the comfortability from Andy Dalton compared to Bryce, you could definitely tell. It was definitely you could tell if you go watch Andy Dalton play that game and you go watch the past 2 games against Bryce, you can tell who's more comfortable back there. Josh, exactly. A lot of wise guys now saying Bryce is a bust. Dalton is the solution, blah, 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 blah. We're going to get cooked either way, especially playing against decent secondaries. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bust. By any means, I'm not saying Bryce is a bust. It just makes me question some things, right? It makes me think. But I'm not saying he's a bust. Match, how are you talking about Charlotte? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Do you think Bryce can see over the line of scrimmage at the middle? I mean, he's made some plays over the middle. I mean, he made some plays, but Jesse, he's made some plays over the middle. He definitely can. It's just, I don't think that's the issue. I don't think he's comfortable in this offense. I don't think the play calling has been an issue. I think that's been number one. I think that's the biggest issue here. There's not a lot of shift motion. There's not a lot of quick game. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of bootlegs. And honestly, maybe not enough RPO, right? I mean, I think that those kinds of play callings need to be called when you have a rookie quarterback because it gets the ball out quick and it's easier for your offensive line to block when you're slinging the ball out quickly. It's just getting Bryce, I think, also comfortable and not second guessing his routes. Because I feel like sometimes when I've watched some of his game film, he when he's reading his progressions, he is second guessing on some of the routes that I've watched. There's been times where guys are getting open. Now, some of it has been busted coverage where he's not looking at that route first. He's looking at a different route first, right? Because when you're standing right-handed as a quarterback, you're looking this way. You're not looking that way. You're looking this way. Because you're looking at route 1, which is the wide out on the outside. Then you're looking, depending on the play, then you're looking at the tight end, or unless you have an extra wide receiver, depends on the play. Most of the time, the quarterback is looking to the right-hand side. And then he makes this. Then if there's nothing there and he has time, then he reads the progression out. At least that's from my understanding of learning what I've been learning with quarterback play and the X's and O's, right? On that note, is more comfortable throwing down the field because he's a veteran. And Bryce is a rookie. He's going to do more as his career goes on. Yeah, it just made me think. That's all I was saying, guys. I didn't listen, Jadarius. I never expected the season to be a great one, but I didn't expect it to be a start off as a horrific one. Let's just say that. But I've always said since I've been ever since this beginning of the season, I did say that you guys who come in here and expect things to happen overnight, it just isn't. And even and anybody else that is who watches me knows that. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions his rookie year. Yeah, I mean, I know that. I know that. All right, let's get on to the next thing. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. Greatly appreciate it. So some takeaways. All right, these are my takeaways from the game. Right, Dalton was a veteran hope, beacon of hope. Akeem Ekwonu's confidence is not very good. Injury plague strikes again, and the penalties was our Achilles heel. That's literally what I took away from this game, right? Because Dalton was basically a silver lining in this game, right? Because Bryce, you know, is out. You see Dalton maneuver in this hostile environment that we're in Seattle, right? And I think he put a master class on and under the pressure that he had, right? It's no secret that the effective communication is a linchpin of success in such a hostile situation, right? In the setting that we were in Seattle, right? So Dalton Season's presence might have been what we needed, right? And he emerged as a lighthouse in the stormy seas of this offense that we have, right? Despite this team's early struggles, Dalton exuded confidence out there, taking command of this offense. He put on a precision of a show, and the effect of him continued on, right? Because as the rest of the offense rallied around his unwavering resolve that he was displaying, the stat sheet definitely shows it, right? 361 yards, 58 attempts, 2 touchdowns, all right, and no interceptions. So Dalton still has it at 34 years old. You can tell that he can still sling the rock, all right? So, I have to give him his praise for what he displayed in Seattle, even despite the loss. Okay. But we kind of shot ourselves in the foot in this game, and that's because of Ike Ekwonu. No offense. But this sophomore slump seems to be hitting Ike right now, right? The swagger, the confidence that really defined his rookie year has now kind of just been absent, right? I thought that maybe he was going to take in that rookie year, the great rookie year that he had, come in and be himself all over again, right? I felt that confident about him. I wasn't too worried about it. But now the inconsistencies in his technique have plagued his performance so far. And it's an alarming tally of false starts. And come to find out, I had to look it up while I looked it up while I was speaking with you guys. But he had 4 false starts to be exact. That's a concern for me. Now, I get it. It's a hostile environment, but it definitely raises some legitimate questions about him right now. And I'm hoping that he can regain that confidence as the season goes on. And he had a slow start even to his rookie year. But 4 false starts in one game, I mean, that's definitely a concern. Y'all are blowing up that chat, man. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream, getting in the chat. I see every one of y'all. I'm trying to keep up with you guys. In here. You know what I mean? Let's see what we got here. All right, so we were back. I think the last thing I displayed was the Manning thing. Okay. Yeah, I reached to responded to that. Okay, Manning wasn't Manning's first year. You don't know how good Bryce can. You don't know how good Bryce can be. He's only played 2 games. This is true. We don't know how. Red Rocket can get us a win or two, but his ceiling is just outside playoffs. Who knows what Bryce ceiling is? Right. We don't know what his ceiling is. He's only played 2 games. Those that say he can get the ball out too is his O line has not given him any time. That's why I keep talking about quick game, man. Quick game is quick passes, quick fade routes, flats, screens, slants, hitches. It gets the ball out quick. It's easier to block. Just do it. Throw some bootlegs, throw some RPOs in there if you have to as well. But it would definitely benefit Bryce's game. And that's how it kind of was in Alabama. But yet when you have guys like he was passing to, like, who is he passing to? Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams, those kinds of guys, right? You know, it definitely helps when you got wide receivers like that and that kind of speed as well. Injury is the main thing this season that will affect us, to be honest. Yeah, I think so. But I think also some offseason moves, which I've mentioned before, is also a problem. Some offseason moves, some things that we didn't do this offseason is definitely going to continue hurting us. The injuries is part of the NFL. That's why the offseason's there. You should be bringing in key pieces in certain areas that we didn't do, and then signing guys that we probably shouldn't have signed. I truly believe that the Miles Sanders signing, because I'm starting to see it now, was a bad move. I truly starting to believe in that, because if you go look at Miles Sanders, what he did with the Eagles. The only reason why Miles Sanders, I think, was as good as he was because you go look at that offensive line that the Eagles had. Now, with an incompetent offensive line, he can't produce. And no one, and probably, and part of me can't blame it all on Miles Sanders when Scott Fitterer did not help us bolster up this offensive line this offseason, nor did he help bolster up the cornerback room, and nor did he sign Brian Burns. So, and nor did he get anybody that could replace DJ Moore and get us a true number one wide receiver to help create separation on the field either. So that's another offseason move that didn't get done that should have. So if anybody's in the hot seat right now for me, I know that some people are calling for his head. I'm about to start calling for his head, but Scott Fitterer, you got to make these. You got to do better this upcoming off season if you're still here. 22 not showing that X. Bryce equals Pat White. Damn. Has Dalton ever made the playoffs? Yes, he's made the playoffs. He was playing when he played for Cincinnati. He made the playoffs, but I don't think they won it once because Marvin Lewis is a choke artist in the playoffs. I don't think they ever won a game, though, in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe they might have won one, but Marvin Lewis was a choke artist in Cincinnati. Yeah, see, that's what I thought, Toxic. I didn't think he made it past the first round. Put Stroud and AR in this situation, they would struggle too. Probably so. Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the Bryce train. I'm not going away from it. So if the DCU hesitating, they're gonna blitz the rookie. Like Host says, he needs to throw the ball fast up. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Quick game. That's why teams don't sign second contract Eagles that had a better. Yeah, exactly. Corbett should be back in 2 weeks, so that's promising. Yes, that is promising because I'm hoping that what they'll do is put Corbett. I mean, obviously they're going to put Corbett at the right guard position and move Zavala beside Icky. Maybe that'll help Icky confidence and comfortability there playing with a guy that he's played it alongside of before. More mid stinking up Chicago. I mean, honestly, he's the best player they have on the offense if you go look at it. He still ended up getting me like 15 points in fantasy, so I'll take it. We saw what the best running back in the league could do with this crap, getting injured. Yep. Yep. Our GM stinks. Yeah. I'm starting to think that. Moore isn't mid. No, he's not mid. He's not mid. He's not the problem in Chicago. I can tell you that. I can tell you right now, it's definitely, I mean, Justin Fields is calling for the coaching staff's head in Chicago, but I'm just thinking that Justin Fields is just garbage. He's not good. I just don't think Fields is that good. You can blame it on the coaching staff too, Jadarius, but I just don't think Justin Fields is that good. I just don't. All right, let's continue here. So we talked about Icky now. So here's the thing: injuries have strikes again, right? The injury strikes again, right? That's our big issue here, right? These are the takeaways that I've been took away from this thing, right? It continues. Key players, man. Bryce, Corbett, Christensen, Thompson, Horn, Haynes, right? Then in this game, we keep on adding to this casualty list. Henderson, ankle, Xavier Woods, his hamstring, Luvu, his hip, Jonathan Mingo, concussion. 4 guys. So now our depth chart is stretched out thin. And each starter loss magnifies how this season's challenges are looming over our head right now. Then the penalties. Okay. The Achilles heel. Trying to win on the road anytime in the NFL is tough. Okay. Particularly in an area like the Seattle Seahawks in their stadium. It is a treacherous place to play. Okay. But 13 staggering penalties in a game. We literally just handicapped ourselves with 13 penalties. And to be brutally honest, staying competitive amid this penalty onslaughting that we had, honestly was a miracle that we were even still in the game with how many penalties we had. But this is still an issue that needs to be disciplined, right? In the NFL, it's crucial, right? We are battling. You got to think about it. This team is battling adversity from all fronts, right? And right now, losing is never easy. Never has been. It's hard to swallow, right? But these takeaways are a glimpse of what I saw from this last game. Anything is possible, though, guys. I will continue to say this. In the glaring of defeat with these challenges, injuries, I will say this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take time. We got to have patience. But there is a silver lining here to the performance in Seattle and what we saw. We saw that our offense can be competent enough to put up 27 points. We saw that our wide receivers are competent enough to get open. But we also saw things that still need to be worked on. There's still a lot of glaring issues. There's still a lot of holes. And our team is, Thielen, Wright, all those guys still remain confident in our team. So if they're confident, I have to stay confident too. Thielen thinks that our team, for being 0-3, we're a lot better than teams with some winning records. He came out and said that, at least talent-wise. But I'm going to try to remain confident. I'm still going to remain patient with Bryce, this coaching staff, this organization. But I am going to call them out and their issues and things that need to be fixed. I'm going to be 100% honest every single time. So the Panthers are 0-6. Do you see them trading Brian Burns? That's a good question. Honestly, for them not signing him right now makes me think that they might be working on that. You know, part of me thinks that there might be a situation here that could be a transition that could be happening. Now, remember also the guys, the Lions last year started 0-6 and they made the playoffs. They beat Aaron Rodgers to make the playoffs last year. So I'm just saying, just remember that. I mean, listen, Jadarius, it could be. That's what I'm even saying. It could be him. It could be the situation though. But like, I also have seen that, you know, there are teams. You can have a great coaching staff and a lackluster talent and be 0-3, but you could also have a shitty coaching staff but a great talent and still be 0-3. You got to find the right balance at the end of the day when it comes to the NFL. Our Niner gang. So we got a 49ers fan in here. Niner gang, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining. Our GM may become available since John and Kyle got extensions. He was hoping to move up, so he may move on. The Panthers should look into him. Wouldn't be opposed to it. Niner gang, what's his name? Oh, Adam Peters. Okay, I'll have to look him up. I don't want to trade Burns, but it might be the best options to get some draft capital. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We got to look. We might have to because we're gonna have to. We don't have a first round pick this upcoming season. This upcoming draft. So honestly, we'll see. Again, time will tell, man. Time will tell. Matt Chatter says Robbie Anderson's annoying. Yeah, I know. Yesterday, that Miami game was ridiculous. And then for him to go out there and score a touchdown, I was just like, really? Yeah, we should. Hey, Josh, it's something to look into, man. Adam Peters. I would hate to see him go, but deserves a shot at the GM job. Niner gang, what is one thing that you loved about Adam Peters and his decision making and what decisions he's made over there that you felt that, he's has benefited the Niners? Because that's what I would like to know. It was said by a great singer, sometimes you got to lose to win again. True that. True that. Denver don't even want to tackle. Yeah, that's just I couldn't believe 70-20, man. 70-20 against Miami, putting that on the Broncos' head. You know what's crazy? So I saw something on Twitter. Apparently, this is true. Mike McDaniels, I think that's his name, right? Mike McDaniels, the head coach for Miami. Anyways, he is apparently he was the ball boy for the Denver Broncos at one point. So that's crazy. I feel we owe you guys something nice for blessing us with CMC. Well, I appreciate that. I'd love to have him back though. Live by CMC, live by CMC, cry by CMC. Absolutely. Lions missed the playoffs. I don't think so. Well, they made the wild card at least, if I'm not mistaken. NFL the kid. We got Bryce because CMC trade. He will be good in the future. Absolutely, Josh. I agree. He has a great eye of young talent. Was behind a lot of those hidden gem picks late in drafts. Okay. I would not be opposed to looking at him and bringing him over. I wonder if Scott's got any I wonder if Scott Fitterer knows him. The Lions didn't make the playoffs because of the Rams losing. Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. Thank you for reminding me. That's right. But they would have made it if the Rams would have beat the Seahawks, right? All right. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Andy Dalton, a performance to remember. I think it's a performance to remember. The early rhythm for him, man, was the biggest thing, right? The composure of Andy Dalton was just something we need to be talk about here. Because from the get-go, it was evident that the Panthers aimed to establish Andy Dalton's rhythm early in the game. Why haven't we been doing that with Bryce? Don't understand that, but that's okay. That's a topic for another day. But the wily quarterback was treated to a slew of early confident boosting completions. Why aren't we doing that with Bryce? Still don't understand there. So setting the stage for that, this opening drive that I know accumulated in a field goal. The timing was impeccable. It was just a sight for sore eyes to see him come out there. It was a symphony of precision making for him. And as the game went on, we really found ourselves under a mounting pressure from the Seahawks, though. And then devoid of a reliable run game, really making Dalton's task a little bit more challenging for us. But that first half, man, was a masterpiece, honestly. It was for Dalton. It was a masterpiece because he displays poise, calm of a seasoned maestro as himself, despite minimal preseason action, and then recent inactivity. And then Dalton just seamlessly navigated the, past the Seattle defense. They were showing a little bit of the Seahawks started showing a little respect to the wide receivers in the first half. Dalton became really getting this team stable, which we desperately needed, some stability. Okay. But the first half stats painted a vivid picture of how commanding of the offense he had. Right? He had a completion rating of 63.6%. He had over 158 passing yards and a touchdown in the first half. And then the passer rating he had was 100.2. But then he suffered 2 sacks in the first half. But the ability to really deliver the ball accurately under relentless pressure really exemplified the invaluable experience of a veteran quarterback who can anticipate those defensive schemes before they unfold. So that was the biggest thing I took away from the first half. But then the connection with Thielen was another thing. Right. That's Thielen I'm starting to feel that Thielen might be the heartbeat of our offense because it became clear to me that Dalton favored to move the chains with Adam Thielen, right? Because of the offensive struggles this season, though, Thielen has shown some bright spots, right? I feel like he's been showing some bright spots, okay? Now, however, the game marked a significant leap in their chemistry, I felt like. Dalton consistently turned to Thielen in critical moments and then really exploited the Seattle secondary, which resulted in a great performance by Thielen. 11 catches, targeted 14 times, over 145 receiving yards, and a touchdown. So, but the penalties, the offensive line issues, Thielen's numbers could have soared probably even higher if we weren't having those problems. Okay. And then Dalton's heroics, not in vain. Okay. That's another thing. Right. It was in a cruel twist of fate, right? Andy Dalton's stellar showing, 361 passing yards, 0 turnovers, an impressive passing rating, couldn't evade another gut-wrenching loss. And then blame, however, does not rest on Dalton's shoulders at all. You cannot blame him at all. He has no part to be blamed in this game. He has always maintained he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and this game proved that he is absolutely right. He could still play as a starter, I feel like. Right? In the essence, that Dalton's performance, I felt like was a silver lining cloud in the sky. He navigated this Panthers team through the Seattle, hostile environment, right? Kind of just giving us a glimmer of hope when we've been facing adversity from the beginning of this season. While it may not matter much because with Bryce poised, I think poised to make a return in week 4, teams in search of a quarterback assistance would be wise to scrutinize Dalton's masterpiece. His ability to breathe life into an offense, steer it towards a promise, is a beacon that cannot be ignored. So I'm wondering now, is Carolina going to be shopping around Andy Dalton? Is there going to be some trade? Are they going to try to trade Andy Dalton to a team like the Jets that are looking for a quarterback? Is that a situation that could happen? Because Dalton's performance in week 3 stands as a testament to enduring spirit of resilience and excellence. Even though we may have lost the battle, you can't say that Dalton's performance was not a triumphant reminder of how good he still is at the age of 34. I'm happy for Dalton. Just hope Bright doesn't bench Young for long. He needs to get more playing time, in my opinion. Josh, I mean, honestly, it might not be a bad idea to sit him a year. It's something that I've been thinking about. I like it. I mean, I want Bryce to get as much playing time as two, but I'm wondering if also it might be sometimes it's better to sit these guys out for a year and let them develop. Kind of like how, Love did in Green Bay. And Love looks good. Honestly, wasn't sure how Love was going to be. Does Scooby think that Bryce will get better? I don't know. Scooby is in his crate right now, chilling with a bone. And he's not barking and he's not being wild. So we're good. He's in his crate, though. James comes in and says, so you're not Pantherology anymore? No, James, I'm not. I mean, I'm still affiliated with Pantherology. Pantherology is still affiliated with my channel, but I decided to take my name and put it into the channel. That's why it's called the Ropp Star Report now. As you can see, Clay Ropp, Roppstar 92 _ the Ropp Star Report. And my nickname from my friends have always been Roppstar. So it kind of just came with it. Yeah, absolutely. DMJ got some burn this last game, which was good to see. I just don't know what's going on with him. The problem isn't Bryce. We had 8 false starts, also gave up 37 points while not being able to stop the run. Yeah, Kenneth Walker ran all over us. So that's another issue. Our run defense is still the same. We just can't stop the run. TMJ is about to get real playing time with Mingo, probably going to be out a few weeks, so we'll find out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he gets some more burn. I don't think Mingo will be out a few weeks. I think with the concussion protocol, I think he has to be out at least a full week. So I think Mingo will probably miss the Viking game, and then he'll be back against Detroit. Yeah, I mean, Mingo definitely needs to step it up. I felt like Andy was trying to get the ball to him, and I felt like Mingo was starting to get the ball. I was happy to see Chark get some more burn in this last game, catch a big touchdown from Chark, which was nice to see. So, and Chark also made some beautiful catches in this game. So, especially that one that landed out of bounds, which was awesome. So, and the play stood when they challenged it. I'm not expecting much from Mingo. He's a rookie, but TMJ should be ahead of where he is now. And Chark is also inconsistent. Chark just needs to stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy, I think the consistency can be there. Dalton was average. It looked amazing to us. I mean, it is what it is. Man, Tank Dell looks good. We could have drafted him. Yes, Mingo needs to step up. Tank Dell is a stud, man. Tank Dell is a stud. An absolute stud. Get Bryce back out and let's reevaluate. We'll see. I doubt he plays. I doubt he plays this week. I see them throwing Andy Dalton in there again. Also, where the hell is Hayden Hurst? I was expecting more production. I was expecting him to get some more burn too, with Dalton and him having some, playing time together back in the Cincinnati days. So I was kind of surprised about that, not getting him stepping up. I'm not a big sit a player guy myself, Clay. Learning on the job. I got you. I understand. It's a tough call in those situations because is there really a right from wrong? not really, but then it could be, right? Like sometimes with these quarterbacks, it's better to go ahead and throw them out there and let them shit the bed and then learn from their mistakes. And then the next year they play better, or either they just shit the bed and they're a bust, or you sit them a year and then they develop and then they come out. Either they come out good or they come out bad. It's like one of those situations when it comes to sitting or starting. I don't know how these coaches evaluate that, right? I'm not a coach, right? I'm coming from from a fan standpoint, and I'm learning the X's and O's. So that's kind of that decision making is very hard for me to really say. I think with what's gone on right now, I'd like to just see Bryce kind of just sit down and evaluate everything and take in everything, and maybe throw him back out there after the bye week. But we'll see. Thoughts on Thomas Brown calling the offense? I think Thomas Brown needs to call the offense because I feel like with Frank Wright, we're seeing the same play calling every single time. I like that what Thomas Brown does. He does a lot of shift motions, a lot more bootlegs. He runs a quick paced offense. And I think that's the way you want to go about it, right? I think that with him taking that, because he learned under Sean McVay. Sean McVay is also like that quick routes. That's why Puka Nacua is so good, because Stafford gets the ball out quick and they move the ball down the field. And that's why the Rams actually look pretty solid even without Cooper Kupp, at least from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they are no good. The only person I know that they have on that defense is Aaron Donald. I don't think they have anybody else that's worth a damn. Right? Yeah, we ain't winning shit. Get Bryce out there for reps. Intermittent sits. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not opposed to it, guys. I'm not saying anything. Q says Bryce is mid. Q's gonna Q. Those boys, man, they crack me up. They crack me up, man. We'll see if Bryce is mid. We'll know truly how bad Bryce really. If Bryce is mid, I think we'll truly know if he doesn't progress next year. Does that make sense? Like, I want to see if if he moves forward next year. Like, let's say he progresses, right, and does better, starts out better next year. I don't think you can consider a mid. It's just, I think you have to understand that these are rookie quarterbacks and we have to be patient and we have to watch and wait for them to develop. There's nothing else you can do. You can't expect these guys to come out here and be, Trevor Lawrence or Pat Mahomes week one, right? And getting drafted. It doesn't happen. Pat Mahomes, when he was drafted, he sat out a whole year before they got rid of Alex Smith. And then he didn't do well. And then he came out and look what happened to him now. Right? You know what I mean? So also at the end of the day, too, though, for our offense, our play calling has to just be better and it has to fit more of how Bryce plays. The styles win fights. So schemes in football fit certain players. Some schemes don't. It's the truth, though. Winners and losers of week 3. So your winners are to your left. Obviously, your losers are to your right. So the reason why you see Icky over there is because the offensive line was absolutely brutal. I felt like, even though we still were able to put up even though Andy Dalton was able to put up 361 passing yards, right? But there was just a lack of discipline, poor production. All right. The ground game suffered, and it's suffering because of the fact of Austin Corbett being out, Christensen being out. Obviously, Ike Ekwonu's 4 false starts definitely raises some concern. And that's considering the weight of expectation on his shoulders. I mean, the false starts just plagued us, and that's a lack of confidence, I think, but also an absence of cohesiveness in the face of adversity and a grueling setting at the at Seattle's field. But the winner, you got to give it to Andy Dalton, right? Okay. You got to give him the poised performance he had. Definitely was one to remember. He protected the football, a keen sense of timing, and connected with receivers under pressure, right? Then he had an unexpected career high, too, of 58 pass attempts. So, you know, I'm telling you, I think his impressive showing may have caught the eye of teams in the NFL in need of a quarterback assistance. I think there's going to be some potential sparking trade interest rumors going around for Andy Dalton after that performance. And who knows? Maybe we can get some. I don't know what we could trade for him, honestly. Yeah, Josh, I'm thinking the same thing. It's just a development season for him. I just got through packing the rest of my Panther gear up and putting it in storage and canceled my subscription to NFL Sunday Ticket. Yeah, I won't be doing that. I won't go that far, Marcos. I won't go that far. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button. I really appreciate it. Where are we at on likes, by the way? Dude, there's 20 people in here, only 12 likes. Come on, let's get it up to 20 likes. I would greatly appreciate that. That's all I ask for. All right, 20 likes. Clay, did you see DJ Moore pulling Justin Fields off the field? Is Fields injured? I mean, I don't know. I didn't see that. No, JSK, I did not see that. I'll have to find that clip. Chidden didn't play well in Seattle. I'm starting to think we should trade him. I just don't know if Chen is fit for I'm starting to think that Chen is not fit for the nickel position. I think Chen is I think Chen is he's got the versatility to be nickel, linebacker, safety. But I think he's better off at the safety position. I mean, if you're going to use him, I just think he's better off there. But I don't think you can trade Chen now, guys, due to the fact that I don't know what the extent of Xavier Woods' hamstring injury is. Then you've got Frankie Louvu, who's got a hip injury. Don't know what the extent it is to that. You already got Shaq Thompson out for the year, right? You still got JC Horn out for a couple more games. Then you got CJ Henderson, who's hurt. We don't know how bad of an extent it is, too. So I can't say that we go ahead and trade Chen until these guys are back healthy. And maybe we can make a trade then. But as of right now, I don't know how serious any of these guys' injuries are. Yeah, our defense is getting depleted right now. And if we had a fully healthy defense, we might not even be having this discussion of being 0-3. You know what I mean? Okay. Another loser, Dante Jackson. Okay. He had a promising start to the season, I felt like, but then when he got into Seattle, it just kind of went downhill from there. Right. He struggled against run support, got repeatedly burned in coverage. We're obviously relying heavily on Jackson right now, especially with CJ Henderson sideline. Unfortunately, I don't know how long. But Jackson's inconsistency coverage performance-wise has just been becoming a reoccurring issue. It's raising questions about his long-term suitability for his role because honestly, with JC Horn out of action and Henderson's status uncertain, and now you have Jackson as the number one cornerback at that situation, that's a drastic turnaround of events right there. Right. So, but he's just been getting burned. Now, Thielen, dependable, brilliance, especially with the struggles of the wide receiver core. He's been the shining light upon us. Basically, at this point, he's the most reliable pass catcher, and I think the heart of our offense at this point. he's got savvy route running skills and dependable hands. And he's just been consistent so far throughout this year, or at least this season. He's really showcased his ability to thrive under pressure, and he was targeted heavily by Andy. With that 11 catches for 145 yards plus a touchdown. Um, while the youth in the receiving room is still trying to find its footing, I feel like Thielen remains the Panthers' beacon of dependability. My neighbor's dog got out. Oh, God. Anyways, it's been there, done that. All right, Frank Reich's going pains. That's why he's another loser. The honeymoon period for head coach Frank Reich for me is officially over. Okay, the mounting pressure on this coach on the coaching, him and the team, because of the costly errors and the lack of preparation, is definitely something that I have to give the responsibility to Wright. He's accountable, and it comes into questioning of whether, particularly in the light of these numerous penalties occurring by the team, right? I know the atmosphere in Seattle is not very good, right? It's a hard place to play. But that should not excuse the absence of the silent counts and the predictability of the audibles, which the Seahawks swiftly exploited in this game, if you go watch it. Because even though I would say we had the best offensive performance so far with Andy Dalton back there, the unbalanced offensive approach, though, which was forcing Andy Dalton to throw 58 times, only really added more issues. Because now the patience for all of us as fans, I feel like, is wearing thin from a standpoint, because Wright is facing some uphill battles in this steering the Panthers through this turbulence that we're going through. So right now we're still finding ourselves at these crossroads. I felt like this was once a promising season, but now with these injuries, discipline issues, really a quest for identity is the thing here. As we prepare for the Minnesota Vikings, the path forward for us really remains uncertain as a team. Whether we can rally and regroup and redefine this season remains to be one of the things to be seen. So, D-Jack was and will be a coin flip. Yeah, I think it's time to move on from D-Jack, guys, honestly. I think it's time to move on from him. It might even be time to move on from all of our secondary, CJ Henderson and JC. For me, JC, I know, maybe pick up his 5th-year option, give him another chance. Obviously, you with JC, you get I don't know what we can get for him. The trade, obviously, I would just say with JC, you got to pick up his 5th-year option. Maybe give him another chance to see if he can stay healthy through a season. If he does, then maybe give him another chance. But Dante Jackson is I think is going to be on his way out here soon, and I think CJ Henderson will be too. They did this to themselves, not drafting a cornerback in the 3rd or 4th, trading up and taking Johnson, not even playing him. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Why would you take a guy like DJ Johnson in the 3rd round? I guess they wanted to take a chance to find another pass rusher, right? To go alongside Brian Burns, but then you signed Justin Houston, right? You knew you were going to play Frankie Louisville on the other side. So why go after a pass rusher? What's the point? I'm on the fire Scott Fitt train. It's James. It's coming. It's cutting. It's coming. Cut Frank Wright. Fire Scott Fitt. I mean, I wouldn't go with I don't know if I would cut Frank Wright or fire Frank Wright yet. I just don't think that it's time for that yet. It doesn't look like a good draft this past offseason, so on the fence on fit. Yeah, I mean the draft this offseason, besides, I guess you could say Bryce, maybe, and then maybe Zavala, and then we'll see how Jamie Robinson plays out. But besides those two, I mean, besides maybe Bryce and Zavala, might have been the only two guys that were really worth getting. I mean, depends on if Mingo Mingo turns it around, but I don't know if he will. But there's definitely some guys. I've been messing around with Madden, and I know Madden's Madden, but I've been doing a couple franchise. I've done a couple different franchises with the Panthers, and I've just been like messing around with it, and it's honestly, like when I was doing it in Madden, I was trying to find guys to like trade for. I think I traded away Miles Sanders to the Broncos, and I got, and I think I got like Jared Judy. So I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. At least gives me a wide receiver one. Don't call him mid Mingo. We'll see, Matt Chatter. We'll see if he's mid or not. We'll see if he's mid or not. Guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream as always. I appreciate y'all coming in, showing your support. Make sure you pound that like button on your way in or out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you check out all my links down below. It has the Discord link. It has all my social media link. It has the BetUSA link. So go check it out. All right. I appreciate everyone doing that. Clay, can you evaluate Scott's work over the last few seasons? I said yesterday I thought it was okay. But honestly, I don't know enough about the GM's job to tell if he's doing okay or not. So JSK, I mean, if I evaluate his thanks for the show, Clay. I like the vent. Vent all you want, man. We might have to start making a show, make Monday or depending on the day, like the day after the games. And if let's say we win, maybe we'll make it a celebration show. But if we lose, maybe we'll call it pillow talk. So then y'all guys can come in and just, I'll put up a image of a pillow and we'll just put your name on it. Say, okay, Vent. Or maybe I can have it like as a talk show host where y'all come in and just let it all out, right? Like a call-in show where you let it all out. We'll call it pillow talk. But anyways, JSK, to your question, I mean, if we look at, I'll tell you this. The year we drafted JC Horn, I mean, you could have got Justin Fields or you could have got Patrick Surtain. There was other guys that we could have gone after. I mean, if you reevaluate I would literally have to break down each and every draft and free agency when Scott Fitter came here and what he did. And I would literally have to break it down. And that could take hours. We need new scouts. I mean, that could be also it could solve the problem, but I wouldn't say it solves every issue, right? When it comes to, at the end of the day, Scott Fitter is the one we can have all the different scouts we want, but at the end of the day, Scott Fitter is the one who makes the decision, right? You know what I mean? So it's crazy to think where Scott Fitter came from, though. Like, he came from Seattle, helped build that Legion of Boom, drafted Russell Wilson. They got a Super Bowl out of it. Like, it's crazy to think that Scott Fitter had a part of that there, right? So when is it gonna take part here, right? So it's just gonna take time. But JSK, maybe we can break that down one day. I don't think I could break it all down right now. That's a lot of work. If you think about it, we passed up on Zay Flowers for Mingo. Look at Zay Flowers is doing. We passed on Amon-Ra St. Brown for TMJ. Look what he's doing. That's what I'm saying, James. Like, he also had Pete Carroll. So, You know, that could be a thing though right now. Frank Wright and Scott Fitter. Yeah, we passed up on Parsons. That's another one, right? We passed up on Parsons. So I literally would have to literally go JSK to your question, maybe one of these days, or maybe I'll sit down and I'll break that, reevaluate each and every draft, what we could have done, who we should have gotten, right? How could we have gotten this guy or whatever? I could also reevaluate the free agencies, but I would literally have to break it down by year by year. And I would have to like go back and do some research. So maybe one of these days we'll do that, JSK. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off of here. I'm going to go grab me some lunch. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. We'll be live tomorrow. I appreciate everyone always coming in and showing your support just by pounding that like button. So, anyways, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. And as always, guys, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding.